Hey guys, it's Mitchie. And today's video, it's kind of like a story time, but also kind of like an update. So I don't know, I'm just going with it. Anyways, a couple months back, I made a video talking about how I hurt my back while I was at work. And I thought I was in recovery, a few days after, but turns out that I hurt myself a lot more seriously than I had actually realized. Um, So what happened was I was in the back room at work carrying a case. It was kind of heavy, and I slipped on the floor and I almost fell. I didn't fall, but I almost did. Anyways, so I was like, okay, it's fine, whatever. For the next few days, I was a little sore, but then I thought, okay, I'm getting better, it's fine. But about 2 to 3 weeks later, basically a month, um, the pain had actually come back and it had been getting worse and worse. And it eventually got to the point where I could not move. Um, like I could not bend down. I could not, like it hurt to try to sit down, to try to stand back up. It was like torture. Um, I could barely even lift my arms very high because I was in so much pain. And it eventually just got to a point where it was so bad at work that I couldn't do anything. So I ended up going to a chiropractor thinking, okay, maybe I just need something's out of place. Maybe I need to get my back, my back popped or something. So I went in and I ended up having to have multiple treatments with it's like electronic muscle stimulation. And that first visit I went, he did a session of that. He tried popping my back and stuff in multiple places, but nothing would pop. It was just nothing was working. So for 2 weeks, every other day, I had to go to the chiropractor for the sessions with electronic muscle stimulation. And after those 2 weeks, every once in a while, he could kind of get my back to pop. But it turns out that on my last visit, after 2 weeks, I was actually able to start moving and I was okay enough. But on the last visit, I asked him, I said, okay, so can you tell me like exactly what happened? Like what was wrong? And I'm kind of glad I waited till the last day to want the specific details because I was kind of freaking out when he told me what was wrong. Um, it turns out because one of my hips is so much higher than the other one, it kind of, when I slipped, it did something we don't know, but I had a few discs in my lower back that were unaligned. They were like out of line, out of whack. And I ended up pulling a muscle on my lower back. And so it was so inflamed and it was like pushing up against a nerve in my back, which was making it even worse, as if it wasn't bad enough already. And so I had the pulled muscle that was so inflamed, it was pushing up against nerves on my back. I had a few discs on my lower back that were out of line, and it turns out my hip was a little out of place. So this whole time he had been trying to, get my hip back in place, but the muscle was so like inflamed that he couldn't get it all the way in, so it would just kind of pop back out. And eventually, on that last session, he was able to get my hip back in place. He said that the disc in my lower back seemed to be in alignment again, and the muscle had like I don't know how you would go because it was inflamed. It like went back to normal enough that it wasn't really in the way anymore. I don't know how to explain that. But so after that, my hip was back in place, my discs were aligned. Um, so after that, the muscle was still just kind of going back to normal size, and it took me another like month or two after that for the muscle to get completely back to normal, for me not to be in so much pain. Um, and so, it's been a few months, but I've definitely gotten better because after those 2 weeks with the chiropractor, I spent another week using a portable TENS unit, which is just, for that electronic muscle stimulation. It's just a portable unit that you can buy from like a drugstore and stuff like that. And so I had 3 weeks of electronic muscle stimulation, and then him, during those 2 weeks trying to pop my back and everything. So now, months later, I'm not feeling any pain at all. I'm actually like kind of back to normal. And everybody at work was really great, helping me out. I was off truck duty for a while, just to make sure that I could heal. So, I mean, that was really good, because it would have made the process so much longer to recover if I still would have been trying to do truck. Because I was doing, I think I was taking care of like 3 to 4 deliveries every week that we would get. Only 2 of them were like big, major deliveries, but yeah, it took me a while, but I'm finally back to normal. And I do from now on, though, the chiropractor said, since one of my hips is so much higher than the other, anytime I'm doing anything that is like extremely strenuous on my back, lifting heavy things, moving a bunch of stuff, I just have to be careful and mindful of the fact that with that hip being so much higher, that it puts me at a higher risk of getting a back injury if I'm not careful. So other than that, I'm great. I've been doing really well. I've been back on truck duty for a couple weeks now, and everything's been fine. Every once in a while, there's just kind of like a slight twinge of pain, but that's only when I like go overboard. So yeah, this video is probably like 20 minutes long, because I take forever to explain things, but just wanted to update you guys because I realized looking back that I never gave you an update on what actually happened. So that's it. I was pretty seriously hurt, but I'm better. It's all good now, thankfully. And so yeah, that's it for this update / story time. And if you like this video, just like it, leave me a comment down below. I always reply back to everybody. And until next time, I love you all if I've ever, and keep exploring.